Hello, everyone. Welcome back to yet another political episode. So, yet again, another day, another win. Today, Democrats' efforts to shut down the government because they are sick and tired of losing. They're trying to rage quit, and they're deciding just to take the whole thing down, knock the tower down because you don't know how to put the blocks on the correct way. That failed. And if you ask me, Democrats, they made it a lot harder for themselves because I tell ya, Mike Johnson a couple months ago and Republicans, yeah, they got a bit of heat. And Democrats had a moment for once where people were actually looking at them when the fake rhino Republicans just decided to kick their legs up the chair and chillax as the government bill just sat there till the very last minute. They cried, Republicans want to take away Grandma's check! They want to shut down the government! Republicans need to access to Social Security! And for once, we actually believed that Democrats, no, they care about our Social Security checks. They care about our grandma. They care about Grandpa getting his check. But it didn't take long until Elon Musk derangement syndrome and Trump derangement syndrome just led them to just counteract their statements, just straight out. They deliberately are pushing their constituents to shut down the government. Why would they do that? No, not constituents, excuse me. Push the senators, the Democrats in Congress to shut down the government. Why would they do that? Well, according to AOC, as she will explain in our video, this will stop the mass firing of federal employees. Why should we sacrifice Grandpa's check for that? Why should we sacrifice his check for that? Tell me, Democrats, you told us that Grandpa's check was so important that we can't shut down the government to stop the run of inflation. We can't stop it all. Grandpa needs his check. But now, because we're holding federal employees that aren't showing up to work and that are just chicken legs up in the air, letting paper fly, we're firing them. Democrats are upset and they want to shut down the government so we stop getting corrupt federal employees out. That's not going to suit well to the American people. Thankfully, it failed, and we know what would happen if this were to succeed, right? Democrats would go on, use talking points. Oh, Republicans under Trump, Senate House Republicans led the government to a shutdown. Everything is falling apart already, and then American people, they're going to go, yeah, sure. Like, we all knew that you guys were the ones that advocated for the government to be shut down. All the Democrats decided to shut down the government. John Fetterman, Chuck Schumer, maybe some moderates were sane enough to say, no, that's stupid. That would destroy our party. But the Democratic Party, they don't believe them, and they are threatening to primary Schumer out. The Democrats are in complete disarray. They will never learn. And as long as they keep this up, Republicans are just going to keep on winning. It doesn't matter really what Trump does unless it turns into the Great Recession or something. And what we're looking at from terms of the economy, inflation is going down, egg prices are going down. If we are going into a recession, I know I failed to talk about that in the last video, I got distracted. But if we are going into a recession, it's going to be very short and it's going to be very small. Democrats want a Great Recession. They want a 2008 recession. This is the Democratic Party. They're rooting against America. They are jumping up and down in excitement over a recession. No one should be excited for that. And which explains why Democrats do not want to help President Trump and Republicans lower the deficit. They don't want to help Donald Trump fix the economy. They just want to cross their fingers, clap hands, and pray for a recession. So finally, American people would start looking at them. But American people, I'm sorry, like I said before, they're not dumb. They're not dumb. They're very smart, and they know what you're doing. Like, when the American people say, for once, try to think for themselves, the Democrats cry conspiracy theories. We know that that's crud. We know that's bull. The American people aren't going to fall for that. American people rejected that in November of 2024. So what we have right now is, I'm going to bounce around from this Black conservative perspective episode, cut Greg Foreman out. I don't want to see his reaction. Well, he will be in the corner, but we will be reacting to AOC and her absolute hypocrisy, because she is just the example of Democrats that are just fuming from this. But first off, let's get a word from Chuck Schumer from MSNBC, the BSDNC, who is being called out for voting against his own party because he actually knows that this will destroy his party. He's the majority leader, and really, Democrats should be thanking Schumer for covering their butts and trying to save their butts. But Democrats think they're so high and mighty and they know everything. There are little teenagers that are so arrogant they think they know what they're doing, even though they're going to destroy their party because of this. But Schumer, I think he's in a civil war with his party, and for once he voted against the interests of his party. He caved to Trump for the first time. You know it's bad if he has to do that. So let's go ahead and take a look at Schumer.
To have the conflict on the best ground we have, summed up in a sentence, that they're making the middle class pay for tax cuts for billionaires, it's much, much better not to be in the middle of a shutdown, which to divert people from the number one issue we have against these these people, which is not only all these cuts, but they're ruining democracy.
Buckle up, a lot of news to get to. The deadline to avoid a government shutdown is midnight tonight.
And Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer is backing down on his fight to block Trump's agenda. He's going to vote for this CR.
And this was stunning news that came down last night. Aisha Hasni has been there every step of the way. She's live at the Capitol right now. Aisha.
Hey, good morning to you guys. Well, the Democrats certainly have their gloves on this morning. They are waking up to a deeply divided party. We are actually waiting to find out which one of them in the Senate will join the GOP in funding the government to vote on this cloture vote. It's going to happen sometime in the 1 o'clock hour later this afternoon. And this is the vote, you guys, that unlocks the government funding bill. This is the vote that Republicans need Democrats to join them on. So Democrats, as you know, have been threatening to shut down the government because what they wanted in this government funding bill was to limit President Trump's authority to slash more government. Well, last night, Minority Leader Chuck Schumer announced that while they didn't get what they wanted, he is going to help fund the government because a shutdown, he says, would have been far more worse for federal workers. It would have given President Trump powers to decide who is essential and who is not.
And he's just saying that because, you know, he's trying to, of course, say, hey, guys, don't attack me. I'm still on your side. I'm still on your side. This will give Donald Trump power. So he's purposely saying that to try to get the Democrats to wake up. Kind of to be expected.
A shutdown would give Donald Trump and Elon Musk carte blanche to destroy vital government services at a significantly faster rate than they can right now.
This change of heart came right after a heated lunch among Senate Democrats yesterday in which it sounded like Senator Kirsten Gillibrand screaming at her colleagues about how a shutdown would look for them. Meanwhile, Republicans are out there taking a victory lap.
Chuck Schumer overplayed his hands, and fortunately we have Leader Thune who just outmaneuvered him. Thune said from the very beginning of this Congress that the Democrats can either do this the easy way or do it.
Okay, we're going to stop there because Greg's going to get into it. But he says do it this either way or do it the hard way, and they chose it to do it the hard way because they're Trump deranged. Let's jump ahead, and we're going to see MSNBC, and you know how MSNBC works. We have to always have the YouTube ads, but they're going to go and they're going to have a TDS rant. Rick Wilson. I cannot stand him, but he will have his TDS rant. Daily dosage of Wilson tantrums. But here we go. Okay. Oh.
Guess what? Let them blame you. We're not going to fight it. They might.
See, he's already going off. What a child.
I could possibly imagine. And Chuck Schumer just went, nah, too hard. We're not going to fight it. They might blame us. Guess what? Let them blame you. Get in the fight. Show people you give a shit. Show people there's some line you won't fucking cross. Show people you've got a spine and guts and heart and some blood in your veins. Jesus Christ, Chuck. Do you want you Mitch McConnell, if he was in your shoes, would be fucking Donald Trump every minute of the day. Mitch McConnell would have Mike Johnson rolled over on the floor, tied up in knots every day. If you can't do it, if you're the General McClellan of the U.S. Senate, quit and let someone who's got some balls take the job. This CR is going to absolutely your people. You're going to dishearten every Democrat in the country. You're going to hurt your chances in 2026. And when you sit there and go, oh, well, there's nothing we can do. Yes, there is something you can do. You can tell the story every day. You can go out every day and tell people the harm that is being done by Donald Trump and Elon Musk and Mike Johnson and John Thune and every other goddamn Republican who's leading this charge to burn this country to the ground. Am I mad? Yes, I'm mad. Is anger justified? Yes, it's justified. The fact that you people have a perfect setup, teed up opportunity where you could absolutely hang this around their necks like a boat anchor and throw them into the deep end of the pool absolutely boggles my mind. That's it. End of discussion.
Yeah, Greg's going to start talking. But yeah, it sounds like a guy who has zero hair needs some testosterone injections, right? He is low on testosterone. I think I see tears coming through his eyes. He's so sad. And to me, I find it so hard to believe. How can you grow a beard, mister? I don't think it's even growing. I think it's done. You can't even grow it that much because you're just so low in testosterone. Like, seriously. But that's not the point. It seems like you want grandma to die, Mr. Wilson. You want grandpa to die. And you're mad. You don't need to tell us that. We know. You're using profanity. This isn't MSNBC, by the way. I think this is a private network. Independent. But, yeah, he's throwing a fit like a Democrat, like a baby. Bald like a baby. Both things in common between him and a baby. They're bald. I think that's a heritage, or something like that. But yeah, this is one example of a Democrat throwing a tantrum because grandma and grandpa didn't get his check taken away. People with disabilities didn't get their check taken away. And just, you can make that argument, guys, and you can watch them just roll up into a circle. Like, what have I done? Like, this is absolute hypocrisy. Because Republicans, they did the same thing in December. They said, oh, this bill's going to hurt farmers, it's going to hurt this, and it's going to hurt Americans, it's going to hurt middle class, yada, yada, yada. What did Democrats do? Democrats just sat there and said, oh, grandpa's check. Grandma's check. If you're having Social Security services, you should be scared. But now it's switched around just 3 months later. It's actually Democrats that want to take away grandpa's check. Isn't that funny? I find that to be hilarious. But we're going to go ahead and take a look at AOC. Greg will be in the background. Hope he doesn't mind, seeing how irrelevant my channel is. But let's go ahead and take a look at this hysterical interview between CNN, AOC, And Jake Tape is going to call out AOC to her face after flip-flopping on the government issue, where she used to advocate for abolishing the filibuster, but now she's supporting it. Let's see.
You've been urging people to call their senators, tell them to vote no on cloture, which allows the bill to go forward for a vote of just a simple majority, and to vote no on the vote for a simple majority on the Republican bill. What do you say to the counter argument of like a government shutdown hurts the country, hurts the people you represent from Queens and the Bronx?
Absolutely, and that is why House Democrats have laid out a plan, as well as several Senate Democrats laid out a plan to keep government open for another 30 days as Republicans negotiate a deal with Democrats in order to have an extended government funding bill.
But the House would have to come back into session, right?
But House Democrats are in town. We're afraid of working? Is that the problem here? That the idea that, God forbid, members of Congress have to fly back and do their jobs?
Okay. I don't know when Mr. Foreman will be speaking.
Okay. Genuinely. Come on.
Okay, he speaks. Okay, so you get what I'm saying. Let's go ahead. I want to cover it all when it's done and said. Skip this.
Said at this meeting that he is going to vote for cloture. He is going to vote to allow there to be a simple majority vote. You think that's wrong?
I believe that's a tremendous mistake. Yes.
Why?
I think, well, first and foremost, the American people, if anyone has held a town hall or has seen what has been happening in town halls, American people, whether they are Republicans, Independents, Democrats, are up in arms about Elon Musk and the actual gutting of federal agencies across the board.
Nope, it's just noise. It's just noise. And not to mention, Democrats were caught paying actors. Paid DNC Democrat Harry Sisson-like supporters of the DNC to go outside, take the weekend off, and protest and be insane. If they weren't doing that, guys, those are a lot of idiots. Those are a lot of insane and mentally ill people on the streets right now. Who would do that? Like, you're a working American and you want to spend the weekend possibly getting arrested, possibly getting hurt by, I don't know, putting yourself in an unpredicted situation because you cannot take an anxiety pill, or you cannot sleep it off about Elon Musk. Seems a little off to me, and seeing how Kamala Harris paid her supporters to come out and ooh and ah for her, I think the Democrats are just resorting back to the same book because they have nothing else.
This continuing resolution codifies much of this chaos that Elon Musk is wreaking havoc on the federal government. It codifies many of those changes. It sacrifices and completely eliminates congressional authority in order to review these impulsive Trump tariffs that he's switching on and off. And on top of that, for folks who are concerned about effectiveness in government, this Republican extreme spending bill removes all of the guardrails and all of the accountability measures to ensure that money is being spent in the way that Congress has directed for it to be spent. This turns the federal government into a slush fund for Donald Trump and Elon Musk. It sacrifices congressional authority, and it is deeply partisan. And so to me, it is almost unthinkable.
Okay, we're going to stop there. Okay.
Why Senate Democrats would vote to hand the few pieces of leverage that we have away for free when we've been sent here to protect Social Security, protect Medicaid, and protect Medicare.
Yeah. AOC's stupid. Like, dumb. She does not know anything what she's talking about. It's already hard enough to actually listen to this demented lady because she sounds like a dying cow, let's be honest. But to actually, like, guys, I've explained it yesterday so many times, and I'm not going to explain it again. What AOC is doing, she is reverting and reusing propaganda. She is trying to, of course, get people up and voting. Do you really think CNN's that dumb? I think CNN's dumb. Believe me. Let's see what MSNBC has to say from AOC. This was a, AOC's so stupid, she doesn't even know we have historical records of her saying the exact opposite that she's trying to say right here in CNN. Let's see what she did last year. I think it was 2022, 2023, but let's go ahead.
Democrats holding together. I know where you stand on the filibuster. So I'm curious what you thought of Senator Simona's op-ed where she made this defense of keeping the filibuster. And she wrote, would it be good for our country if we did this, basically using the getting rid of the filibuster, only to see that legislation rescinded a few years from now and replaced by a nationwide voter ID law or restrictions on voting by mail in federal elections over the objections of the minority? Look, the argument she's making is, let's say you get rid of the filibuster, you get all of this progressive change that you would like to see, and then all of a sudden the roles are reversed and everything gets rolled back. Is that a good enough defense to you for the filibuster?
No. I mean, it's essentially an argument of saying, well, why do anything at all in case something in the future may change it? Political systems all across the country, all across the world, pass legislation with majorities, and they're fine. And frankly, here's the thing, is that Democratic legislation, once enacted, is popular. Republicans have tried to gut Social Security. They've tried to reverse the ACA. They've tried to claw back on legislation that has passed by simple majorities in the Senate, and they haven't been able to because Democratic policies are popular. And once they are enacted, they are very politically difficult to undo. And so, I do not believe in the defeatism of saying we will lose in the future and this will automatically mean that anything we do now is going to be reversed, so we might as well not do anything now. Our job is to legislate. Our job is to help people. Our job is to do as much as we can.
And you're not doing that.
Even if that's the case, even if that is the case, wouldn't it be better to get people health care and voting rights for 3 years instead of 0 years? Even if you concede the point that I don't even think is true in the first place. And so beyond that, then the argument is, okay, why 60 votes? Right. Why not stop at 70 votes? Why not need 80 votes to pass any legislation? Why defend a 60-vote filibuster when the Senate already amplifies minority power so that the 50 Democratic senators already represent millions and millions and millions more Americans than 50 Republican senators? And so I would argue.
So, because Trump's in the White House, we should keep the filibuster. Interesting how politics works, guys. But I don't think it's politics in regards to AOC's case. I think it's just pure hypocrisy. But back to this interview.
Here's your very first speech on the House floor.
Mm-hmm. It is not normal to shut down the government when we don't get what we want. It is not normal for public servants to run away and hide from the public that they serve. And it is certainly not normal to starve the people we serve for a proposal that is wildly unpopular among the American people.
Amazing. AOC definitely wasn't expecting that to be actually. She's like, oh, shoot, you guys remembered. You guys aren't stupider than I thought. You actually used this against me. Oh, no. Maybe next time, stop being a Kamala Harris.
30-day stopgap to keep government open as negotiated.
You don't think it's a good bill, but the alternative is likely a government shutdown.
Well, the alternative is to agree on a 30-day stopgap to keep government open as negotiated. The proposal is in front of the House. The proposal is on the Senate. Republicans had time to seek Democratic votes, and we can extend that time for them to seek that vote. Once again, we can come back. We can fly back. We can vote on this. We can get a stopgap measure, extend the amount of time to negotiate while we figure out a solution here for the American people. And I also agree, again, I maintain that position that government shutdowns, we can keep the government open with a 30-day clean CR. And on top of that, I also maintain the position that government officials and public servants should not be hiding from the public the way that Republicans are hiding and being instructed to not host town halls right now because of the outrage among the American.
AOC. Yeah, that's not going to work because your gal Kamala Harris refused to do interviews. And generally, the American people approve Donald Trump. So why should we be afraid to do town halls? You know what? I think we're too busy trying to fix the mess you are making, you and your friend Joe Biden, have done for 4 years. And I think the American people prefer we do that than town halls. I guarantee you we will do town halls. Absolutely. But AOC, we're 40 days in. You saying that we're going into a recession. We can't be doing town halls. And if we were, guess what AOC would be doing? Trump is doing a rally while the recession. We're going into a recession. This is exactly what she would be saying. So no, yeah, AOC's just mad that Republicans aren't taking the bait because it's so obvious. But that's beyond the point. We're talking about the economy. We're talking about the shutdown. But I thought that was interesting how she brought that up once again.
Democrats should vote to go forward with the spending bill, unlike Senator Tim Kaine that we just heard from. And my guess is, I don't speak for either Schumer or Gillibrand, but my guess would be if they were here, they'd say, you're being naive. It's really just a choice between voting for a government shutdown or voting not for a government shutdown. People aren't going to come back. It just doesn't happen that way. Again, that's not me. I imagine that that's what they would say to you.
I mean, I understand that Senate Democrats think that it is beyond wildest convention for us to come back, but House Democrats have done that before. The House has reconvened in emergency sessions before. I've certainly voted on the floor of Congress they've even called us back from August recess before. This idea that it is beyond the scope of imagination for us to come back from vacation is just not an acceptable answer for the American public.
I want to play something that President Trump said earlier today. Take a listen.
If it's shut down, it's only going to be, if there's a shutdown, it's only because of the Democrats, and they would really be taking away a lot from our country and from the people of our country.
Your colleagues, House Republicans, are already using the term Schumer shutdown, which has that nice alliterative style. Are you not worried at all about Democrats taking the heat for the shutdown?
We know, and the American people are not going to have the wool pulled over their eyes. Everybody knows that Donald Trump is president, that Republicans have the Senate, and Republicans have the House. They have the keys to the entire United States government. And if Republicans wanted to avert a shutdown, they can. They can. They can, if they need Democratic votes, then they can negotiate with Democrats to get those votes. It is simple. They have two options: to pass it with their...
Okay, AOC, come on. They're basically insulting the CNN viewers. Come on, AOC, guess what? You right here, with a camera in front of your eyes? No, not just a camera, multiple cameras. You are saying this out loud, advocating for a shutdown. You're saying that grandma and grandpa shouldn't get their check. You're saying that people with disabilities and people in wheelchairs shouldn't get their check. Because of Elon. Because of Trump trying to make the government more efficient. And you're saying, nope, we don't want to help. Trump should go and get Democrat votes. Guess what? You got Schumer, you got Gillibrand, you got Sinema. Sinema was mainly against the filibuster, right? Tim Kaine, I think, was mentioned. I think we got our votes, AOC. I think she's just trying to dig through everything. Oh, it's up to Republicans. No, No. Republicans didn't have to do anything. Because your party is divided on this issue. And, I mean, let's be honest, Democrats don't care about the American people. They really don't care. They are just trying to save their butts. They're trying to say, which way will Democrats benefit the most? If we shut down the government, we just say it's Trump's fault, which won't work, like AOC thinks it'll work. No, because we have you right here saying that we should shut down the government. Technology, you don't live in the 1800s, AOC. We have technology. We have, this will probably get 1 million views, over 1 million. You just convinced 1 million people that you don't care about grandma and grandpa's check. Seeing how big the government shutdown has been mentioned in the news and how Democrats would make this happen, majority of Americans would blame Democrats. For example, back, I believe it was, 2023, Republicans. Oh boy, under Kevin McCarthy. How did McCarthy get out of power? How was Kevin McCarthy kicked out? I'll tell you why. Because he was blamed for an inevitable shutdown that didn't happen, thankfully. He was extremely unpopular in that. People didn't blame Joe Biden. People didn't blame Democrats. They blamed the Republicans. They were trashing them like crazy. And that was probably the reason why Democrats did very well in 2023. They had poor leadership in the House. We had 2 speakers of the House. And then we had 2 rounds, just a horrible election process. Yeah, that wasn't Biden's fault. It was ours. Being completely honest. But for some reason, AOC thinks the Democrats having a hard time passing a bill, trying to take away grandma's check is GOP and Trump's fault. No, that's not how it works, AOC. Just take a look at 2023. Go back in time and how trash that was. But I'm sure Greg would actually bring that up. But we're going to continue to wrap this up.
Boy, they're embarrassing themselves.
Okay, yeah, they are, Greg. You are absolutely correct.
Like polling from very reputable firms, we see that the American people understand that, and they know that the party in charge of government is the party that's in charge of keeping government open.
What do you think of the job?
Like I said, that wasn't the case in 2023.
Democratic leaders are doing, not just Senate Democratic leaders, but also Hakeem Jeffries, the Democratic leader in the House, your fellow New Yorker, in terms of standing up to Trump?
Well, when we look at this vote around this government funding bill that we saw this week, Leader Hakeem Jeffries was able to keep the entire House Democratic caucus united and together.
Except for Derek Golden.
Right. Every single House Democrat, including every single House Democrat who won a Trump district, except for one out of over 200, voted against this deeply partisan, extreme Republican spending bill. Not just because they're Democrats, but because they know it's bad for the country. Mm-hmm. This bill is bad for the country. And so I think that in terms
AKA everything that Trump does is bad. This is not, you aren't convincing Americans, AOC, because 8 years, we've been into this 8 years, going into 12. You're using the same grift. Americans aren't buying it. Oh, really? What's the proof you have that this is bad for the country? You will go through the whole entire logistics, and you won't convince anyone because you have spent 8 years boo-hoo, whining and crying about Trump, even when he's out of office. It's absolutely insane.
Of Democratic leadership in the House, we've seen that result in the House. I think it's time that we see similar results in the Senate.
Would you, what do you think of the job that Chuck Schumer is doing? Would you ever challenge him, do you think?
I think that what we need right now is a united Senate Democratic caucus that can stand up for this country and not vote for cloture and not vote for this bill. And I think that the strength that we have is in this moment. Reconciliation and all of these, Republicans do not need Democratic votes for that. They need it for this. And so the strength of our leadership in this moment is going to demonstrate the strength of our caucus. And I cannot urge enough how bad of an idea it is to empower and enable Donald Trump and Elon Musk in this moment. It is dangerous and it is reckless.
Well, you just talked about the strength of your leadership. Chuck Schumer just said that he's going to vote for cloture. Not only the Democrats can do it, but he's going to participate in it. Does that mean that you think he's a weak Senate leader?
I think that would be a mistake. But we have time between now and tomorrow, and I hope that individuals that are considering that reconsider it. I genuinely do. I don't think it's what New Yorkers want.
And you failed. Boo-hoo. Game over. It's passed. It's over. Because guess what? The AOC doesn't help you. But most Americans think she's extreme. Let's be honest. She's a socialist. It has her under her name. She used to be a part of the Socialist Party. So a lot of people are saying, yeah, if AOC is probably speaking out against it, it's probably a good idea to pass it. Okay? Because when do we ever actually, if you dare agree with a socialist of something, you likely are a socialist. So, yeah, I know this video is long. We had to cover a lot. But to wrap it up, I want to see Democrat Party response right now. They're not happy. They plan to challenge. I don't know which Democrat. They're so disorganized right now. I wonder which Democrat would go up to challenge Chuck Schumer and primary him out. Well, Chuck Schumer getting primaried out would take time. I mean, you gotta wait for let's see. I'm trying to think. 2026, that's class 2. That's the midterms. 2028. I mean, hey, Democrats, that's your next chance to try to retain the White House. And if history, if the Bush curse is lifted up, and the Bush curse is named after H.W. Bush, the traditional back and forth between Republican and Democratic presidents, like if this curse were to continue, we would elect a Democrat in 2028, and forbid we don't. Please forbid we won't. Forbid us never to elect a Democrat ever again. But hey, we're entering a golden age. I think this curse will be lifted. Hopefully, if the Democrats, of course, if this succeeds. But obviously, the Democrats aren't getting credit for this out of everything. I think Republicans have just secured themselves, made it even clear that they're the party of the people. I think most Americans now realize that, yeah, Democrats, they don't really care about grandma's check. Yeah, Democrats, they don't really care about kids in wheelchairs getting Social Security and getting paid. They don't really care about working families. And they'll go and make loopholes. Oh, well, this is going to do a horrible. Yeah, the logistics is, it's not a good idea to vote for someone not to get their check. Period. That does not make you look good, especially as the party that wants to make sure you do get your check. That's kind of hypocritical. So Democrats abroad are kicking and screaming. They're whining and crying. They're mad that this House bill passed, and they're doom spiraling. They're saying it's the end of the world. Oh, well, whatever. This thing was going to be the end. It was going to be the January, whatever it was. I think it was the 20th. Yeah, it was the end of the world since the 20th, according to the Democrats. Hey, you can never please these people. So, what do you guys think in regards to this video? Let me know down below, and as always, I'll see you all in the next political episode.